He ain't never sleep, brother, he ain't never rest. He ain't never slumber, never put him to the test. He be reigning king forever, resurrected after death. All praise to God, brother, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, all praise to the one. Praise to the one, the only begotten son. Reigning king forever, never put him to the test. He ain't never slumber, brother, he ain't never rest. I was living for the day, never thinking about that future. Little did I know that I was headed off to Lucifer. The strongholds broken once I gave my life surrendered. It's to Christ the King, all praise due from earth ascended. It's the LA anthem, me revival in the city. Shout out to CC Eagle on the body going litty. Shout out to Jeremiah, my little brother on the midi. Smashing up to heaven, everybody coming with me. Got my kids in Long Beach, headed to the baptism. Tupac instrumental, another type of ambition. I'ma pray you take the wrong way, the Bible the directions. Looking unto Jesus as he making intercession. It's a prayer for the deuce, it's a prayer for the tradition. I'ma pray you take the wrong way, the Bible looking once I gave my life surrendered.
All right, check 1 2. It is 9 o'clock straight up. AC Sports Live on this Tuesday, the 23rd day of September, the Lord's year 2025. Hey, did you see them birds flying on Sunday? Them birds was flying on Sunday. You know, I got to talk about that one a little bit. Yeah, buddy. NFL is truly any given Sunday. I got CP3 Chris the Graybeard in here. I gotta download that new track, man. I know you got a whole album out. I'll play it during the show. Get the word out. Chris the Graybeard has dropped. Hey man, it was on cue. You heard Even Beats just say shout out Chris the Graybeard on the background track. Even B Kim, Chris the Graybeard. Put your son's name on there, man. What's your son's stage name? Gotta give him some love too. Dr. Frazier's in here. I got a short but sweet show tonight, man. Just getting to the point. Getting right to it. If you don't want to hear about these block kicks, you might want to turn the channel. Because you know I'm going to be talking about them birds. And the special teams coming through. I'm going to tell you exactly how it happened. So any given Sunday, what UCLA football really needs, as I talked to Tony Siracusa yesterday, I think the article drops tomorrow. And we talked about UCLA football and what the direction it should go in. I just gave him my 2 cents. And then Coach Cobb's Corner. This unsportsmanlike era we live in, something has to give, man. I saw some stuff recently that just has to be addressed. In my Tender Love report, I saw the face-off between Tank and Jake Paul. It's deserving of the Tender Love report. It's terrible, man. And real talk, as we lose yet another brother to suicide, we're going to talk a little bit real for a second at the end of the show. C Reflex. Yeah. C Reflex on a 1 and 2. Well, he's not a DJ, so he's on the microphone. But I imagine they got some skilled brothers behind the scenes making those beats. I'm gonna check it out, download it, and put it on my software so I can play the tracks during the show. Support my brother CP3, Chris the Graybeard, and C Reflex. I need to reflect on this win from them birds. You know I'm gonna reflect on that as the show gets started. Let's go.
He ain't never slumber, never put him to the test. He be reigning king forever, resurrected after death. All praise to God, brother, say it with your chest. Say it with your chest, all praise to the one.
Yes, sir. All right, man. So here's the story of it. I'm in church on Sunday, and I was not teaching this week, so I have my iPad where I'm taking my notes. I have my Bible, my physical Bible, on the pew, and my phone is next to my Bible, and I get notifications for ESPN. Forgive me, Lord, but my Eagles were playing the most dangerous team in the NFC in the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm getting updates, and I get an update that the Rams are going to kick the game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left in the ball game. So I turn my phone over because I don't even want to see it. I just assumed the Rams are going to be our Achilles heel because they have a style that is really, really, tough to beat for the Eagles. Like last year in the playoffs, the snow was probably our saving grace when Saquon got loose. But this game, the Rams were hitting Jalen Hurts upside the head, sacking him and jumping on his head. Jalen Hurts on the sideline arguing with the OC because the OC is terrible. I don't think he survives the season. I see Sirianni taking over play calling before he sabotages the season. I think Jalen Hurts was calling every play from the line of scrimmage, which allowed us to come back in the game. So, yes, he can throw the football. Everyone's going to bottle up Saquon. Saquon hasn't gotten 100 yards yet, I don't think, in a game. But Jalen Hurts throws 3 tubs, runs 1 tush push. But Jordan Davis, big fella to the rescue. Them Georgia Dogs, Jalen Carter blocked 1 earlier. And when I saw them lining up, I had to watch, of course, I watched a ton of replays after church, and I got to relive it. I have my stuff on my Hulu live sports, and I can watch the games over again and pretend like it's live. So I'm watching the second half. We were down by a lot. So it qualifies as a great comeback. And getting to the field goal block, it was just incredible, man. Just watching the push and the Rams not calling timeout to say, get this guy some help. Not only they Peter rolled the guard, blocked the kick, but big fella catches a nice hop on a loose ball and begins a trek of 18.5 miles per hour for the game winner. Man, that's just the beauty, the spectacle, like sports in general, man. Not because I'm an Eagles fan, but anybody that loves football and the drama and the storyline, the comeback. Only people that hated this were the Rams fans. But if you're a football fan and you get to see a big fella rumble with that kind of speed at 6'6", 335, it's a beautiful thing, man. Not that we're going to go undefeated. We're going to mess around and lose to a sorry team at some point because we keep winning ugly. But a win is a win is a win. Jalen Hurts don't care. A.J. Brown was in the mix. Slim Reaper Devontae Smith was in the mix. Saquon was bottled up. And I heard the sportscaster say that Saquon's still the heart and soul of this team. Saquon is a very good piece of this team. The heart and soul of this team is Jalen Hurts. And on defense is Jalen Carter. Yes, Jordan Davis was the player of the game. His stat line. Did I have his stat line? My man had, and I'm not sure if this stat line was correct, but he had a pretty good game. A turnover on down stop, a blocked field goal. This stat says 2 blocked field goals, but that first one was Jalen Carter. 1 return touchdown, 5 tackles. We see that time he ran the quarterback down to the sideline. A sack, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. That's a good day at the office for the big fella. So give him the game ball. Hands down player of the day throughout the NFL. Big fella had a game. That's how you have a game. That's the kind of game like my son says he wants to have. Shout out to the Delaware State Hornets, who have moved to 3-1, surpassing the last 2 years win total in just their 4th week under head coach Deshaun Jackson. That staff's doing a wonderful job with those kids. Now it becomes a battle of attrition, because now you've gotten through the first 4. That's where you find out who has the juice to get through a season with the bodies taking those hits and being bruised up and falling down, and you know the contact that comes from hitting another person and hitting the ground over and over again for 75 plays. If you played all the snaps on defense or all the snaps on offense and some special teams, it becomes a battle of attrition. So the Delaware State Hornets take on the Sacred Heart University football team this week, and they're not a pushover. They're going to have some 300-pound linemen. They just beat Norfolk State last week, Michael Vick's team. So they're going to be our toughest matchup since the University of Delaware week 1. I think they can handle it. They have the best running attack in the FCS, and they can throw the football. Defensively, they fly around, they get stops, and I think it's going to be a breakout game for young AC too. And we'll wait and see. It should be on, I think they're going to be on ESPN Plus this week. So if you can, check out number 41 in the Delaware State Hornets. They'll be battling this Saturday. Now, the times you have to kind of check your local listings, because sometimes the East Coast times mess me up. So last week's game was at 10 a.m. That's normally a right time for a 1 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast, but check your local listings. The Browns beat the Packers of Green Bay, which is a big shock to me, because last week I said the Packers are the team to beat. Well, the Browns put on their Dookie Brown uniforms and got busy, beating the powerful and projected top team in the NFC with their new acquisition, Micah Parsons. So any given Sunday is a true phrase in this league. Any given Sunday, anybody's going to win, and it's a game of inches. So the Browns, the Buccaneers came back and won, remained 3-0. The Browns win 13-10. If you haven't seen Myles Garrett's highlights, oh my God, I send them to my son every week. Not only is he the biggest, strongest, meanest guy in the league, but he's quick and he's agile and he's elusive. When I see 13-10, you know Myles Garrett has something to do with that. If you saw the game last night, the Lions looked like they for real again. Under head coach Dan Campbell, biting ankles, scraping kneecaps, beating my second team, the Baltimore Ravens. I have Lamar Jackson on 2 of my fantasy teams, and he came through. Thankfully, they didn't give up. They kept playing to the end. They threw a touchdown late. I had Mark Andrews on one of my teams as well. One of my worst teams in my fantasy league. I have 4 teams in my fantasy leagues, and I think I went 3-1. My no fun league, I think I'm 0-3. That team stinks. But my other 2 teams are doing well. 2-1, 3-0, and 2-1. So the Ravens Got to find a way to get some stickum for Derrick Henry. Happy Boys in here. He said, boo Eagles. Boo the Cowboys. Y'all done lost CeeDee Lamb. It's a wrap for the Cowboys. It's not your year already. It's over with. Thanks, Jerry Jones. We'll see you next year. Not that I'm laughing at anyone's injury. Never that. But when you put bad juju on your own squad by letting go of your best player, it's a domino effect. Now what? Is Dak going down next? Again, the plan that I saw is that at some point, Jerry's going to call Prime. Prime's going to come coach. Prime's going to trade for Shador. And there you go. The new regime. They're going to trade for Travis Hunter. They're going to find a running back, BJ. They're going to bring somebody in here. Bijan Robinson. Nick Chubb. Somebody's going to come in there and the Cowboys going to be a big three once again. Yeah, the Packers took one, man. The Browns are tough on defense. But it was a shootout on Monday Night Football, and the Ravens came up short, 38-30. So once again, the NFC is going to be strong. But you know who I got at the top of my power rankings, man? That 3 yards in a cloud of dust team in Philly. So now we have the brotherly love shove on offense. And now we have the big fella Georgia dog shove on special teams. Every left guard in the league is now nervous on field goal protection. Because you got Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis coming right at you down the pipe. Ain't nothing you can really do about it. Because your center ain't but 300. Your center looks like he's like 225. So what can he really do? Your guard is in trouble. It's going to be fun. All right, man. UCLA, changing gears. I'm going to zoom through this show, man. I got a nice juicy salad waiting for me. Nice juicy Cobb salad. The lady at the Habit said Cobb salad for Anthony Cobbs. Oh, that's funny. I was like, yeah, that's real funny. I appreciate the pun. So I got a nice juicy salad waiting for me. The UCLA football as the search begins for the next head coach. My good buddy Tony Syracuse is writing a column about the UCLA football program. And he asked me to get on the record and talk a little bit, and I talked. So tomorrow's article should come out. One of the things we talked about was what's going to take to turn this thing around at UCLA. And in this climate of NIL, what's it going to take for UCLA to be a respected team in the Big Ten? And that's a loaded question. But first things first, the person we bring in has to be him. And him means not only can he coach, but he can recruit. And he has to understand NIL. It has to be a special person. And I'm not saying he has to be Deion Sanders. But his name can't bring back the response. Who? It can't be a who guy. But it also can't be a why guy. Like when we got Chip Kelly, a lot of us said, why? Like, this is a known X's and O's guy and not a relationship guy. Not a recruiting guy. Definitely not recruiting academic talent. For he was at Oregon recruiting kids with 2.0 GPAs. And he wasn't even recruiting. That was Alioti's team. He inherited a national championship team. So fast forward, we've been set back 25 years. We are where we are. Coach Deshaun Foster got a bad deal. He was given a raw deal. Okay, that's in the past. I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's a great guy, great attitude. Kids love him. He'll coach again. But we are where we are. The person we bring in has to be him. Without a doubt. The charisma, the character, the name, the bravado, the enthusiasm. It's asking a lot. And I'm sorry, I don't think Jed Fish, I don't think Jonathan Smith, those names don't do it. I think Jed Fish would have done it had they done it around the time right before Chip Kelly. If we would have brought in Jed Fish at that time, it would have worked because he was right there before NIL destroyed football in college. We can't bring in a Saban type. We can't bring in a Belichick type. We have to bring in a kid-friendly disciplinarian who's played the game. Doesn't have to be a Bruin, but it sure would help because that person would know what it takes to be a Bruin. And one of the things that's wrong with the current climate, as I mentioned last week, a topic brought up to me by my brother Tim Hood, said, what's going on? What happened to UCLA and USC? Our local teams used to have people we recognized. That's going to be one of the other keys. Who's going to be able to recruit Long Beach Poly? Who's going to be able to recruit Sarah? Who can recruit St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, J. Sarah, Centennial Corona? Who can go in those living rooms and get those kids? From Georgia, from Clemson, from Bama, from places that are offering $500,000 out the gate. We probably got to get a staff together. I would say throw a bag at Chase Griffin to be our alumni liaison. And a head coach like Tony White, former Bruin, DC at Florida State, who's gotten Florida State back into the top 25. Just after 4 weeks, they are now a BCS contender. Give me somebody like that that'll excite the fan base of UCLA. Michelle's in here. Go Bruins. Oh, Michelle wrote a lot. Let's see if we can get to it. Nah, he wasn't even that, bro. So Chip Kelly wasn't him. He burned our program down. He tried to burn down my Eagles, but we came back and we won the Super Bowl thanks to Chip Kelly's negligence. He allowed Doug Peterson to bring in some pretty good kids, and we actually got a chip out of it. Pun intended. Exactly then, after 4 years with the show of cause, Kelly sucked. Oh, yeah, he stinks. He's a good play caller when given athletes, but he's not a leader of men. Yes, he has to want to rebuild our culture too. Chip burned it down to the ground. Yeah, I told the story about how Chip walked past us. We were on a recruiting trip to practice, lanyards and everything, and the guy didn't even come meet the recruits, man. It was terrible, man. Guerrero, Troy, and Casey are at fault. Well, you have a knee-jerk reaction to get a celebrity, and they missed. This time, it can't miss. This is it. I mean, we might mess around. I mean, I hope Tim Skipper can get the team going and win 3 or 4 games, but looking at the schedule, we can win against Northwestern. We can slug it out with Nebraska. But the other 7 games, I don't know. But like I said last week, if Skipper can win 8 games, give him the job. Because you look at our roster, it's full of NIL transfers. And if you can get transfers to buy in, you might just have enough money in the kitty to offer them all to come back. And then you can form some type of culture. And that's the whole danger with all this. As you see in like North Carolina struggle, they have 70 transfers. They're not Tar Heels. They definitely aren't Patriots. Guys who police each other and hold themselves to a higher standard. NIL kids are walking away from programs because they're not playing. So the days of competing for your job are gone. And that's what made most teams good, is that there was a guy behind the starter who just could not wait to get on the field. And once he got on the field, he played at a higher level because he didn't want to get that job back. That's what UCLA was. We had 3 deep at every position, from the redshirt freshman to the sophomore to the senior. And each of those guys were dudes at their high school. So then as soon as someone graduated or someone got injured, the next guy was up and we had dudes. Now we were thin at D-line because it's hard to find big defensive linemen that have grades. Not to stereotype big fellas, but just come on and think about it. Big fellas aren't always walking around like Jonathan Ogden with a 4.0 GPA because he's just a brilliant genius, Phi Beta Kappa rocket scientist. That's the thing. All these big wallets complain, but don't pony up the money, the big bucks. Well, again, a little birdie said we got some money now. So we shall see. But one thing can't happen is a vanilla, regular, safe hire. We need someone to come in here that understands the climate and the landscape. Hire a knowledgeable. We have to replace Jolie. We might need to hire you, Michelle. Someone who knows the players. Someone who will reach out to the players and get the players in the building to give these kids a visible, tangible mentor of how this works. Again, we weren't the greatest team when we played, but we were household names. We were neighborhood kids. When we had tickets, we could give away 10, 15 tickets to people that we know that would come to the game. Again, the Rose Bowl has been empty for almost 20 years now. They had to close off the end zone because we can't fill it up. The last time I felt a good crowd was the LSU game. Was it 3 years ago? That was a pretty good crowd. The Idaho game. No, the Iowa game. I'm sorry. Last year's Iowa game. And that's how bad my seats were. I was sitting with the Iowa people. It was bad. It was bad. Which I said my youngest nephew, big boy, graduate a year early, 5.0. But he was playing lacrosse. Well, if he's a big boy, we need all the big boys we can get. Michelle says she's available. I think that would be like if we can do something like that, like having Michelle, Elderkin, and Coach Kazarian, some people. If they paid me enough, I'd do it. The liaison to make sure alumni relations were re-established. Not just a fourth and forever tent, but everyday communication, routine meet and greets, lifting, working out, study hall, chapel for those who are, young men of faith. I would love to come and give a chapel. Reinstate Kevin Jordan as player development. Matter of fact, Kevin Jordan and Michelle Elderkin as player liaison, former player liaisons. That way, when we come to the campus, it's not an issue. It's not a problem. You're welcome. I think that's what we need to do. We'll see what happens. I appreciate your input, Michelle. My last 3 years with Terry Donahue, I worked for Coach K. We got to do it, man. Like by face, recognizing people by face. I need a goodie bag for my event. I need a donation gift for my silent auction. I have no one to call. I think Coach Foster had Darrell Price in place to do those things, but he was the right-hand man to the head coach, and he didn't even get a chance to get going because they're no longer even in the position. So I know that was the plan, to get that going. He was doing a good job of doing that. But of course, the leash was very short, and losing to New Mexico was a nail in the coffin. We can't have 2 losses in a row to Mountain West teams. Just can't do it. Put that bug in Jarmon's ear. I will definitely make my voice heard on the next UCLA alumni chat, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted on that. All right, Coach Cobb's Corner, man. My son's team, my Philadelphia Eagles, the Florida Gators, a lot of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. And I'm wondering, what's the origin of the lack of discipline? A lot of it comes from culture, and that it hasn't been established or hasn't been taught. And I look at social media. I have a lot of football groups I'm a part of youth football groups that I'm a part of on social media. And this video came out it's youth football pre-game brawl. And I'm looking at the parents and the coaches. And nobody's trying to stop the kids. It almost looks staged. But even if it's staged, what are you allowing the kids to believe? You're allowing the kids to believe that this is normal behavior, acceptable behavior. When we played Pee Wee football, we lined up before practice. And when the coach pulled up after a long day of work and got out his truck, we better be lined up, quiet, hands to our sides, helmets on, strapped up, mouthpiece in. You better have your hip pads, your butt pads, your knee pads, your thigh pads. Your shoestrings better be tied up. You better have your cleats on. And he'll look at us to see if we were ready. And then he would ask us, are we ready? And we would say, yes, sir. Are we ready? Yes, sir. 5 Long Beach Poly Jackrabbit jumper jacks. Ready, begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we would do the military thing. Instilling discipline. Instilling a standard from age 8 to 15 until you went to high school. We had Coach Harris, Coach Neely, Coach Valentine, Coach Tony and Jerome, Coach Daniels, Coach, who else we had? Coach Grace. Coach Daniels was my first coach on the east side. I came to the west side with Coach Harris. And these men did not play. These men coaching these youngsters are playing. No other way around it. This is the coaches and the parents. And then I saw a high school kid full on do a power bomb on a smaller kid. So I'm looking at the big fella who pancaked the player, and he jumps on him after pancaking him and broke his back in 2 places. So now that kid can't play football. Mom thinks he's coming back next year. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not playing football. No, you're not. Broken back? You're not playing football. You're a JV player and you have a broken back. Chances of him playing again is slim and none. But where did he see that it was okay to power bomb a player you've already pancaked? He's seen it done in the college level. He's seen someone else do it. It's not being corrected. It's going viral. It's making kids think it's okay. The week after Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott, the kid from Florida spit on the opposition. The next week, like, this behavior is modeled. It's not someone's imagination making this stuff up. Something's like not resonating at the PB level, where you're supposed to be learning discipline, character, responsibility, obligation, teamwork, accountability, how to compete, how to be a good young man, how to be polite to your parents, how to get your chores done, how to get your grades taken care of. If your Pee Wee team is not doing that, you shouldn't be playing Pee Wee. JJ's in here. He said, just as long as you don't have a JV 300-pounder do a belly flop on a down opponent, it's all good. The bar has been lowered. Why? I have no idea. People are so thirsty for a viral moment, they would record a 8U brawl before a game. He would do a power bomb to put the exclamation point on the block that you've already won the rep. I don't get it, but I know it needs to stop. So my challenge is to the coaches and parents, because most of these parents are allowing their kids to play for some coaches who aren't coaches. I know for a shadow of a doubt, my wife and I made sure my son played for coaches. We selected his coaches because we knew his coaches would be a vital part of who he became as a young man. Shout out to Coach Ronell Hurd, Lakewood freshman basketball coach. A follower of Yeshua, a disciplinarian, a hard-nosed, old-school Long Beach Jordan basketball coach. And he shot my son straight. Shout out to Coach Pete Davis, my son's youth basketball coach, would cuss my son out if he lollygagged around the court not getting there. But he loved my son. But he was hard on my son. And it gave him that grit he needed to move on to the next level. He got to high school. Coach Raul Lara's staff. We had Coach Fia Ely was his first football coach. And he was a teacher. And he didn't play. No games. He had my son doing drills he'd never done before. And he built the confidence in him that stayed with him throughout where he is now. And he's had other coaches. Rudy Cambero was his offensive line coach when he played tight end. Hard nosed, no nonsense. Shout out to Big Rude, who's at Mater Dei with Coach Lara now. His basketball coach is at St. Anthony's. Tough, hard-nosed men. Got those boys right. Coaches got to coach, man. And I already talked about how I wasn't that impressed with the Snoop documentary about his football team and how they were coaching those kids. Snoop has over 40 players in the NFL. And that's an awesome feat. But Snoop was getting the best kids from the area. And all they had to do was make sure the kids didn't kill each other. But they were still destroying the kids mentally. Never truly teaching them. So those who made it, made it. But those who struggled with their home life and their mental wellness, I imagine they probably hated football. I was so blessed to have coaches that taught us and loved us. And speaking of coaches, we lost a great one, Coach Steve Ward at Long Beach. He was a Silverado Park Dean, CEO, Silverado Park. He was the man. He coached us in everything. Basketball, football, baseball. He was the first brother with a Hyundai. Had a smooth shag. Smooth. All our mamas was like, ooh, Coach Steve. Handsome, tall, smooth. I don't remember him even cussing us out. But he demanded our attention and our respect. Passed away, I think, if not yesterday, the day before yesterday. So a lot of us that grew up on the west side of Long Beach lost one of our mentors. I know I have a picture of, I think when I was going to college, he came to something we had at Long Beach Poly, and he wanted to tell me how proud he was of me because I was one of his kids that went on to college. So Coach Steve, you're going to be missed, brother. We appreciate you for all you've done. So prayers and condolences to your family and all of us that played for him. Steve Ward was he was that guy, man. He was a balance. He was the balance between the hard-nosed street coaches we had to a gentleman, smooth, almost pimpish. Like, he was just a smooth cat, man. Always smooth. Rubio's in here. Rube said, children learn by watching. Yeah, man. We got to stop all that foolishness, man. Michelle said, coaches and parents need to step up and give consequences for that crap. What's the consequence when a kid can play ball and you need him to play? Or the kid has no home training and the coach likes the mother. The mother's a single mother and the coach likes her. She's gonna let that boy do whatever he wants. It's a real thing. Dude's trying to get the single mom, letting the boy play and he can't play. letting the boy cuss and say crazy things, celebrate doing explicit gestures because you don't want the single mom to pull her son from your team. Just for clicks? I hope not, man. JJ said, coaches and parents, no way in my lifetime would my kids play like that. Man, my dad would have snatched me up from prison if I acted like that. My dad was a street guy, but even street guys don't allow disrespect and lewd behavior because they're street guys who have served time in the big house, in the joint, in the feds, and they don't want their kids to do the same thing. Is there a direct connection to those who act this way and prison? Let's do the research and see. The kids who have no discipline, no awareness of the consequences and repercussions of their actions in a sport. Is there a correlation between having a tough life, struggling socially, struggling domestically? I would probably lean towards there is a correlation, because again, if there's only a 1% chance of you going pro in the sport that you're playing, you're only playing Pee-wee for fun and character building of who you're going to be as a person. So it's important that you learn those things. I get tired of seeing AAU basketball kids with bad attitudes, and they're not even a prototypical size. They're little guys. You know how many little guys make it to the NBA? It's less than 1%. Root said it, if there's no punishment, they will not learn, and it will just keep spreading and increasing. It was a time where we were on the New Orleans Saints, and we drafted Ricky Williams. And Mike Ditka was our coach, and he was trying to create a culture of discipline and hard nose. And then Ricky came, and he made every excuse in the book for Ricky to do whatever he wanted to do. And that is when Mike Ditka lost the team. The discipline didn't apply to Ricky. And that sparked a nerve in the veterans. They said, if Ricky don't have to do it, then what are we doing? You got to be fair across the board. Everybody has to be held to the same standard. Nobody's beyond reproach. Nobody's beyond being kicked off the team. Sweet brother Noomsy's in here. My sweet brother has returned to the peopleization. Appreciate that, sweet brother. The coach, like the moms. Is that a real thing? Man, what? Okay, this is how it goes. I've been coaching a while, and I've seen some coaches may have been single or not fully married and dedicated to their wives. Here comes little Johnny, raised by his mom, who's 30 years old, single mother. She wants her son to play quarterback. She wants her son to play wide receiver. She wants her son to get the ball at running back. Mysteriously, little Johnny is now the starting quarterback. And we see said coach after practice, chumming it up with mom. Happens every day, man. Happens all the time. Sweet brother Numsy is back. He said, isn't that what Tomlin says? He won't treat them all equally. There's a line you can't cross. Yes, you can have some players that might need a different standard, but it has to be a standard. So apparently he had a standard for Antonio Brown for 9 years. And it was kept tight under wraps. Nobody knew about what was going on behind closed doors between Tomlin and Antonio Brown. But they had an understanding, kept everything hush. All his antics were never heard about. They had a no cameras, no TMZ situation because we heard nothing except he was a little bit of a diva. But then when he got up from under Tomlin, all this other stuff started coming out. So yes, the superstars do get treated differently. However, there has to be a standard. Coach Mike Ditka had nothing for Ricky Williams. He practiced when he wanted to. He did media when he felt like it. He wore the wrong uniforms to practice. And it was just a joke. But if you want to make the locker room respect you and your authority, you have to have rules that are uniform across the board. Like you can't Phil Jackson letting Dennis Rodman go on vacation during the season. That was almost problematic. But the team agreed and let him do his thing. And then they said, hey, it's been long enough. Let's go get Dennis. So Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen had to go get Dennis. It's doable, but there has to be a special situation. I don't suggest anyone do it that way. The safest thing to do is to keep it uniform. And if somebody can't get with your program, they got to go. No one's bigger than the team. Unless he's Micah Parsons. Happy boy. Coaches get lonely too. Hey, it's tough on the PB level, especially because they're young. When he went live in the locker room was our first insight. Yeah. When you get to see the real, like these dudes be special ed for real. Like 51-50, crazy. But they can ball. So we got to find a way to tame this crazy and get the most out of him while we can. Coaches get lonely too. That's a Morris Day in the Time song. It was different. It was Gigolos Get Lonely Too. That was a trifling song, man. Contrary to rumors, Gigolos Get Lonely Too. All right, man. I saw this face off between Tank and Jake Paul. This right here, man. This right here. Let's strike it up. We ain't played it in a while. It's time. Kill this, man. Tender love. Tender love for Jake Paul and Tank Davis. Tank is going through something in his life, man. He don't want to fight anymore. But he does want $100 million. And they're trying to make this appealing. They're trying to sell us a fight. That's not Tank Davis, man. They said this is a joke button. What's next? Andy Ruiz. WWE, RIP boxing. This is funny. Jake Paul is not interested in real fights. You just want to make money. We already gave Jake Paul his props about making money. I think he's got that figured out. But Jake Paul is 220 pounds and Tank is 135 pounds. He's giving up 100 pounds, man. And he's insulting Tank at the press conference, bringing up his domestic abuse cases, trying to get a rise out of him. And I'm sure they had a talk behind the curtain saying, hey, man, I'm going to go there to make this look like we really don't like each other. And Tank is kind of like, okay, man, but don't go so far that we bring up some old wounds. But as I saw Tank's demeanor during the press conference, he's really irritated. But I know he wants this money. As he's saying he don't want to fight anymore. He doesn't want to fight Roach. He doesn't want to fight Shakur. I'm putting my $2 that he's going to fight those two guys when money gets tight. Because he's going to fight Jake Paul for $100 million or whatever he's going to get. An exhibition at that. A dance. But the Fed's going to come for that money with these cases he has pending. He's going to need money. So he's going to end up fighting these guys. Will he have the desire and the want to after doing an exhibition with Jake Paul? Like, you're losing all credibility and he knows it. It's a sad state of affairs for boxing. Had Tank Davis been the face. Thank God for Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez and Boots Ennis. Guys like that who continue the sport. The purity of the sport. The only shadiness we need in boxing are the odds makers in Vegas. Jake Paul, you making that money, but you need to start fighting some guys your own size. Point blank, period, man. You hear me? You understand what I'm saying? D-Mac-Fi in here, you. No, you told me to sing it. Nah, bro, I'm not gonna do it. No, just justice, however you want to say it. Tank talked about Crawford was just fighting for the bag. Crawford was fighting to show he was the best, and there's some money in there. Not paying for it nor watching it. I'm gonna watch it, Josh, the same way I watched Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Bootleg. I'm not paying for it either. He's going to get his money. Is it going to be on Netflix? D-Mac fight. You. JJ said 100 pounds and 6 inches. These lower weight divisions are the stature of midgets. I mean, little people. The stature of little people. Walking around looking like a horse jockey. Just little. For no reason, man. That's tragic. I don't know. I don't like it. But like I said, I'm still giddy from watching Bud versus Canelo. That was a treat. That was a treat. You need to fight people his size, man. Even if it's gonna be WWE, at least let it be a guy that's your size, man. He said bootleg. Okay. We are admitting to pirating these programs. I'm just talking. I'm not telling the truth. I'm just joshing around. Josh, are you joshing around that you're gonna bootleg the fight? Are we gonna watch the fight some kind of way? All right, man. So sad news. Rudy Johnson of the Bengals passed away from apparent suicide. Good career, Pro Bowler, early reports CTE. Condolences to him, his family, those who know him, his teammates, the NFL family as a whole. He was only 45 years old. And they say, complications mental illness. And I started thinking about, I've had 6 recorded concussions, and I'm 51. And I know CTE is a real thing. Brain damage is a real thing. But I also know depression coupled with some concussions and lack of purpose is what can draw these thoughts to a guy who used to hear his name across the loudspeaker and hearing fans screaming his name. And we see this a lot in wrestling and boxing. The need to have purpose, which is a dangerous thing when you make what you do who you are. So when you have the Junior Seaos of the world who had everything, perform the same type of outcome, it's disheartening, it's sad, it's troubling, and it makes you wonder what can really be done, because it keeps happening. My urge would be to change the way you see yourself in the mirror. Like, who are you? Going into the sport you chose, you knew you wouldn't play forever. Your body would tell you that going in, my body hurts. I'm not going to play this forever. I heard Antonio Tarver said boxing is it's too hard of a hustle to keep doing this, destroying my body for a paycheck. Let me change my hustle. In light, or I should say in lieu of Reed Johnson's suicide, it's so important for those who are playing a sport for their livelihood to have plans for after the game. What are you going to do when the game asks you to do something else? You have to find purpose, man. You have to find something else. You're only going to play till you're 30 years old. You still have 40 years. If 70 is the promised year according to the Bible, 70 years is the promise. You're only going to play for less than half of your life. You have to find something else to do with your life. I saw this story. Remember Ishe Smith, the boxer? I think he was a light middleweight champion from Vegas. And he too was suicidal when boxing told him it's over. But what saved him was his family. Yes, his marriage was on the rocks, but he has 6 kids. And him not having a father gave him the inspiration to not put his same outcome on his kids. He was able to be successful because he had boxing. But he has 6 kids he has to be mindful of. So he went a different route, became a bare knuckles fighter to earn a wage, to hear his name screamed. But bare knuckles is worse than boxing when it comes to the brutality and the taking years off your own life. So then he finds another way to manage. He is now a postman. He's a mailman. And it was refreshing to see that a world champion boxer was man enough to humble himself and get a job. A government job at that. He's a mail carrier in Las Vegas. Former world champion. 29-11 with 12 knockouts. Now he's a mailman. Mailman make between $75,000 a year and $100,000. Nowhere near the amounts of money he made as a champion of the world. But it's something to keep him going. It's something to be proud of. I made that transition. When you stop playing ball, you no longer hear your name. You're no longer him. You're no longer seen or looked up to. It's a void, man. It's a void in your life. That's why I teach my student athletes to have plan A, plan B, and plan C. Not that you don't believe plan A is going to work, but at some point, you're going to have to move on to your next chapter. So if Ishay Sugar Shay Smith can move on from his glamorous life to a mild-mannered mailman, why can't we? Why can't you? I think it's inspirational, man. I think it's a good thing. Being able to see yourself in a different occupation, a business owner, for myself, teacher, business owner, pastor. I mean, I see myself doing more things. I have never had a suicidal thought because I've kept my mind on things that are positive. I don't know what was going through Rudy Johnson's mind. But at 45 years old, I haven't read the story in depth yet if he had kids and a family or whatever may have kept him here, but something was missing. And a lot of times it's a void. There's no spiritual foundation, no relationship with Yeshua, no relationship with his brothers, no relationship with his kids, a broken marriage, financial obligations being too much, a lot of things that could be there. But a lot of times it's because you're no longer a football player. You're no longer a basketball star. You're no longer a WWE world champion. You've defined who you are based on what you do. And when it's no longer there for you to do, you don't have a purpose. And that could be the most depressing thing to anybody, man. So my encouragement to anybody out there is to find several passions. Find several things you're passionate about. So you will have purpose. You will have drive, something that wakes you up every day. And then you won't have thoughts of why am I here? I'm useless and nobody cares about me. Nobody loves me. You have to fill that void with something else, man. Find something else to think about. CTE, yes, it's real. But you could pause the onset by staying active. Finding something else. Don't get lost in today's remedies of drugs and alcohol. That's a dark slope too. Take care of your body like you did when you were an athlete. Find something else to get involved in. Now, I'm not saying join a UFC club or a boxing club and go in there and get your brains bashed out even more. But like I've joined a boxing gym. I box. I mess around. I don't really get hit. I work on the skill. I swim every day. I shoot baskets every day. I teach children the skills that I have for video and production and graphic design. I teach adults about my faith as I've been involved in my church home and my church life, and that's kept me foundationally sane, even throughout all this political mess we live in. My faith in Yeshua, my faith in God has kept me from losing my mind, listening to people scream about Democrats or scream about Republicans or scream about, the president. That stuff doesn't affect me the same as it affects other people because I choose not to let that stuff affect me. It doesn't directly affect me enough for me to change my shalom, my peace, my purpose. So, condolences once again to those who loved and knew Rudy Johnson. Shout out to Ishe Smith, who's found a way to move on to his next chapter. And my next chapter is going to be this nice juicy salad with the grilled chicken on top and my ranch dressing and my boiled eggs and my bacon bits and all that. That's going to be a good salad. Can't wait. All right, yo. That's my show. I might have went a little bit over, but I think it's important that we take the time to talk about these things. Dr. Frazier says, I heard that Ali couldn't retire because he was used to being called champ. That's heavy. You still champ if you're not fighting, man. I wanted to believe that Ali needed money because he lost so much and didn't have good contracts with Don King. But you might be right. Just being called champ. Regardless, you have to maintain purpose in your life, whatever it is. Amen, brother. D-Max are controlling life situations. You already know it, man. All right, y'all. That's my show. Show brought to us by All In CDO Training, the future of commercial driving. DEM Clothing, the Moody Apparel. Shout out to OMG Burger. I need to get back down there and get me a burger. I might try to get me one tomorrow. You should too. All right, you guys, have a good week. I'll see y'all next week. Enjoy these games, man. The Dodgers are 6 games away from the playoffs. We're going to be the 3rd seed, so I'm going to have some Dodger talk next week. It's time to get busy with this baseball, man. Playoff time. But in the meantime, it's football time, man. Let's go. All right, man. I'll let y'all next time. Peace.